Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Object of the Game. For Coach Chuck Kyle, I'm Maureen Kyle. And today we are going to be talking a lot of high school athletics. But one of the biggest positions, and I know when you went to high school, I know maybe if your kids are playing high school, you know that there's an athletic director, somebody who's in charge of whether your kid is rowing crew or playing football as quarterback. This person is in charge of all of the details, which, Dad, you were talking about. We have a guest coming up today who has a long history in Northeast Ohio sports, but specifically, right. I mean, I remember even calling the St. Ignatius athletic director going, "What day is my dad free so I can get married?" Like, yeah, I mean, that was, I put that level of detail on the Ignatius athletic director.
I was just coaching. I did coach 2 sports. But,
yes.
Okay. Now picture the athletic director. You know, when is his off season? Well, he's on all the time, really. And people, today we're going to break an image, I hope, that some people have about an athletic director. The athletic director is not like the owner of a pro team that, well, there's money galore and I'll buy this, you know, and I'll. No. Here is the guy that is handling all the legalities of coaching. Right, he's handling the contracts, the loads of paperwork, the coaching education. You hire a young coach. Well, the young coach better learn what to do and think. Just certifications, budget issues, right? Mm-hmm. And certainly, I can picture in schools. I being for instance, the assistant principal of discipline. You probably never ever got a good phone call. Mm. How often do a parent call, "Hey, thank you for disciplining my kid"? Yeah. That's not going to happen. Yeah. Well, the next in line there of probably not great phone calls is probably the athletic director, because they need this and our team. Well, here's the budget and doing the best we can, right? Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to make sure we get a man I've had great history with, a lot of football games when he coached, but also just for people to hear the athletic director. Yeah. It's a interesting job, put it that way.
Yeah, our guest today is Jim McQuaide. He is currently the athletic director for Solon High School, but also what we're going to get into a little later on the show, these two coached against each other in the 1990s when Jim was head coach of St. Ed's. And then Dad, obviously, coach of St. Ignatius. Those were some really amazing years in high school football. They're going to talk about that a little bit, but then also just Jim's going to have some great advice for parents out there and what to do with your kid if you have an athletic child who's going into high school, who's currently playing in high school. He's going to drop some knowledge that you really need to hear. But before we get into the show, I want to thank our sponsor, Infinity of Beechwood and Infinity of Akron. Discover the Infinity QX60. Elegant design, advanced features, and versatile comfort for every journey. Visit Infinity of Beechwood or Infinity of Akron and experience true automotive excellence. This is luxury redefined. Thank you for sponsoring the show. All right, we're going to have more with Jim McQuaide when we come back. Welcome back to The Object of the Game, and I'm sure if you're watching, you either played high school sports, maybe you have a child who plays high school sports. A lot goes into it. Our guest today is Jim McQuaide. He is the high school athletic director for Solon, but has been around so many other places, and you two have crossed paths in so many different ways that we will be talking about. Jim, thanks for joining us, first of all.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is like old home week right here. Just wait until we get into it.
Yeah. He got here early, so we sat out there for a half hour. Going over.
Be here early. You always have to be here early.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
That works.
Yeah. Well, when is it that you two first kind of crossed paths?
Well, it's just coaching football.
Right.
You know, really.
I think we were assistants at the same time. I was an assistant at St. Ed's, and you were at Ignatius.
And I was.
Oh, wow.
Then we both.
Defensive
coordinator.
And I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. We were both defensive coordinators.
We knew how to stop everyone.
Yeah. There we go.
I don't know if we could do it today, the way it is today.
No.
It just look crazy. So, for sure.
We'll get into some of those games, because that was an exciting time, too.
Right.
Yes, it was.
And I know we have a lot of former athletes from that era that would probably be watching this.
Tune in.
They'll tune in to see this, to see the chat.
Sure.
But I didn't realize, Jim, until my dad told me that you had a father who was a football coach. Is that how you first got interest?
Well, we were around it. I was born in Cincinnati. My dad was born. All my family's from Cincinnati. My dad coached high school. In fact, my dad was Roger Staubach's coach in high school.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
And then when I became like a high school know-it-all, I wanted to do something different from what my dad did.
Okay.
I'm the fourth, James Patrick the fourth.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to set my own path. And then
wow. Okay.
when I couldn't play in college anymore, they asked me to help out. I went to Warren Kennedy. I graduated from there, and they asked me to help out. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
So then I said, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So then I kind of followed him. My dad helped me before he passed. He was at every game, and it was tremendous.
Yeah.
Sharing that with him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. That age group, your grandpa, right?
Yeah.
You know, he was on Hammond High School, 1938 state champion.
Yeah.
He was the quarterback. It took me years to figure out back then the quarterback. I was thinking, quarterback, Dad, way to go, man. That meant it was a single wing, which, folks, what that meant was he blocked mostly. He called the plays and blocked.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
really?
But I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I thought, wow, my dad was the quarterback. Huh?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Right.
Yeah.
World War II. He went to Indiana State, met my
okay.
mom.
Yeah.
That was Indiana State Teachers College back then.
Okay.
And he was going
Yeah.
to be a football coach. But,
Right.
World War II happened.
Yeah.
And here,
Yeah.
then he went into engineering
Yeah.
somehow after he had a kid, and there we go. So anyway, we both had, his father really did go, my father intended to. How about that?
Yeah.
So we moved all over the place because
wow.
my dad was coaching Cincinnati. Then we went to Ashland. My dad was head coach at Avon at one time, so we
wow.
were there.
Yeah.
Then we moved to Warren. Then we moved to Erie, Pennsylvania. I went to Cathedral Prep
Oh, yeah.
for a year.
Wow, yeah.
Then we moved back to Warren. He was the coach at Liberty. In fact, I played against my dad when
Oh,
I was
wow.
in high school.
I did
he
not
was-
know that.
I was at Kennedy, and we were in
Yeah.
the same league
I know you
as
were at
Liberty.
Kennedy. I didn't realize
so
you
we
played
played against them.
Okay, so then that week
How often
leading
does
up to
that
the
happen?
game.
So as I'm in coaching, as I went through coaching,
Yeah.
when I'm in when you're in high school, you care about yourself, right? You don't
Yeah.
care about anyone else.
Right.
So I remember my mom coming up to me the week of the game and saying, "I just wanted you to know," and I could tell she was, "I just want you to know, I'm going to sit on the Liberty side where Dad is," because he used to be the coach at Kennedy, and said, "I don't want to hear anybody say anything bad about Dad," and I was like, all right, whatever. And then I just went to do my thing. And now with my wife and me coaching and everything, she was probably sweating bullets forever to tell me that. And I didn't even.
You didn't care.
Yeah, okay, whatever, Mom. That's fine.
That's the first time I heard something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
So he didn't give you any secrets or anything?
No,
was there any tension?
but I
that
tell
week?
you, I got laid out on the kickoff
Oh,
team.
did you?
I mean, laid out. To
Did he
this
ever
day.
say something?
Well, no, those guys did.
Oh,
you know,
okay, they probably figured,
yeah.
all right.
We'll make sure we watch this with your dad on film and stuff.
Oh, my
and,
gosh.
I got laid out, and I was
Oh,
like,
man.
"Geez, oh man,
What an-
I
that
didn't
one-
sign up for this."
I've never heard one like that.
Yeah,
That's
so
a good one.
it was
Wow.
different.
Did he have you in the backyard playing football? Or did you just naturally gravitate
No,
toward the sport?
We always went with him.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the summer, we'd have to go to bed. We'd have to come in from outside to go to two-a-days the next day, and if you didn't eat your dinner, then you weren't going to double sessions. And just like I remember at Kennedy, they had a huge refrigerator, and I have a brother a year younger than me. They would give them a bottle of Coke. This was in the back then, and we'd load the Cokes up in the refrigerator so they'd be cold at the end of the day.
Oh my gosh.
And then we'd get one if we didn't mess up or anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
A little different from Gatorade.
yes,
Just a tad.
they're sweating. They'd probably take their salt tablet with their Coke.
Oh, yes.
So
Oh, yes.
yeah,
I remember
so-
that. Ugh.
But we just always went with him. So
Mm-hmm.
that was how we did it. And I always thought I would play for the Browns. That was my goal. My dad was 6'4", and my mom is 4'9".
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So that's why I'm 5'11", you know.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
but that was our goal, to me and my brother, to play for the Browns, because we back then Paul Brown was the coach, and he gave every high school coach tickets to the Browns games. So we always went with our dad to the Browns games.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So.
Did you play any other sports, or was football always?
I wrestled some in when we were in Pennsylvania. Wrestling was huge in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were young, we always played basketball and baseball. And then once high school, once we started, then we just focused on football. My brother was a runner, and I have sisters too, but then we just kind of stayed with that. So, yeah.
I mean, looking back on those playing years, and we're going to get into all the coaching years and all of that, but when you were playing and having your father be a coach, be in the house all the time, I mean, beyond the X's and O's, were there any lessons that he would impart on you? Like, did you have an inside track on the mental game of football?
I think the inside track was that there was no slacking off. Never. Like I would tell my team, like, there was one day I was sick. I was home, like I don't know what I had. It was a Monday, like might have thrown up in the morning or something. I didn't go to school.
Yeah.
And my dad came home from work like at noon or something and said, how do you feel? Are you going to go back to school today? And I was like, I thought he was coming home to the sympathy or something.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, all right, I'll call coach and tell him you can't play this week. And I'm like, what? And he's like,
Whoa.
well, if you don't go to practice, then you're not playing. So I was like, all right, I'll probably be able to go to practice in a couple hours here. But it was, you talk about old school.
Yeah.
It was old school. And you wouldn't do that today.
No.
I know.
No,
but just you made a commitment to this, and this is a part of it, and this is what you're going to do. It's just a different era.
The idea of
and you would say
commitment was pretty pretty defined without much discussion.
That
it was like,
was,
well, then you got to do it.
Sent me all those words.
Yes.
That was a word that jumped out to me.
Okay,
That
the
was a
vocabulary.
word.
That's
Yes.
later in the show.
That
We'll
was
see
a
what
word.
vocabulary.
That jumped out to me.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like there's a lot of parallels between your story growing up playing football and Jim, your story growing up playing football too, and then getting into the coaching as
right.
well.
Right. I had 3 older brothers, so
Okay.
I mean, my dad played and all that stuff, but 3 older brothers. Either you
had no say.
You got
Yes.
you got knocked around. You're going to cry, or you're going to get up and play.
That's exactly right.
You cry,
Yes.
that's it. You're not going to you're going to get us in trouble.
Right.
So
yeah, there's no doubt about it.
I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I mean, I'm used to getting hit.
Yeah.
It's okay.
He always tells me a story about how his oldest brother put him through a wall.
Well, I would get smashed into a wall.
But didn't you put a hole in the wall?
Oh,
you were
I think we
worried
dented,
about.
Yeah, I think we dented a wall. Yeah,
worried about your mom
dented
coming home.
We dented the drywall. We dented
Yeah.
the drywall.
Yeah.
We did.
Right.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, they could have just stopped. They didn't have to drive
Right.
me into it.
Hey,
It was like,
brother.
Kept his feet moving. Kept
Yes.
his feet moving.
We were mostly a girl household. We didn't have
Yeah.
that growing up.
how'd that happen?
I don't know.
Right.
Let's take a quick break now because I want to get into coaching. And on this show, I'm hoping that we have a lot of parents who do coach and look to our guests for advice. So I want to get some advice from you coming up. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll be back with Jim McQuaide. Welcome back. You are watching The Object of the Game, and our guest today is Jim McQuaide, the athletic director for Solon High School. But also, before we move on, big congratulations
Yes.
at being inducted into the
Right, the Ohio Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame.
I know,
And we had to make
congratulations.
sure. I'm glad we were talking and got.
I know,
got
we
into
got-
all
we
this
kinda got into
playing
the
things,
background.
but we wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that this
Thank you.
January. Usually it's a January. I think?
June. Next June.
Oh, June. Next
year,
June.
June. Yeah.
Next year,
So-
June. That's
Congratulations.
Just, oh, thank
We'll
you. Your
be-
dad.
Well
helped
deserved.
I just found. I knew nothing about it.
Oh,
The
no way.
people who did all of it, so I was a huge surprise. But then my wife told me that your dad was one of the people who sent something on my behalf.
Yeah.
So I appreciate.
Well, he belongs
I
in
appreciate
it.
it. Thank
Yeah,
you very
well
much.
deserved.
A lot of people help you get to that point. So.
Well, and I'm sure you've had an impact on thousands of students over the years and have, crossed paths with people maybe you didn't directly coach. Let's talk about those coaching years. How did you, earlier you mentioned, was it an injury that had you?
Yeah, I had to stop playing in college. So
Okay.
then my high school asked me to, one of my coaches said, why don't you come help us with the freshmen? And I'm like, I was home, I was working during the summer, and
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I
Injuries
loved
do
it.
that because
Yes.
that happened to me too.
Yeah.
At Carolina.
So,
heard.
and then I just did it. And then I was going to be I was majoring in Spanish because I was going to do that, something with Spanish. And then I changed to business and got my teaching certificate. And because I wanted to coach. And my dad was a teacher. And that's back in those days. Everyone who coached was a teacher.
Right.
It's not like that today. But so
Right.
if you were going to coach, you're going to be a teacher.
Right.
So that's what I went into doing. Yeah.
Those first few years, did it seem natural to you to pick up coaching, having grown up around it?
I think so. Yeah, I was instantly fell in love with it. There was no doubt at all. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
You get hooked.
yes,
You get hooked.
It's not a disease, but
No.
it's just in your blood. You just
Well, he played center.
yeah.
So, and I played run. The point I'm trying to make is we only learned when we were playing. We just learned a
Right.
certain part of the game,
Yes.
right? I mean, you knew your blocking assignment. I know,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm running off tackle, I know I'm running there. Not too sure what the other guys are doing, but I know I'm running over there off tackle or whatever. And you love the game, and then coaching. Wait a minute now. It's not just that one assignment. You know.
Oh, it's
You're
everyone.
all over the
Yeah.
place. All the positions, all the drills you have to learn, the techniques you got to learn. It just explodes. And once you get into that, whoa.
It's nonstop. And then, like the varsity coaches meet, and you go to every meeting, and you just sit in the back, and you keep your mouth shut, and you just learn. That's how you
Right.
get it. And then they take you scouting, and you're writing, and they're telling you what. I mean, there's nothing better. I
Yeah.
mean, I miss it to this
Yeah.
day, but it
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
And he, over the years, was the representative of our area to the Ohio Football Coaches Association downstate.
Yeah.
And we had yearly, and it's still going on,
Oh,
this
yeah, they-
gigantic coaches clinic.
Biggest
I mean,
in the country.
inviting
Yeah.
Bill Curry spoke at it one time.
yeah.
We had
Yeah.
Bill on one
Bill
time.
was on the
Oh my
show.
God.
Yeah,
It
Bill
was a great
was.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful conversation. But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we had people. I mean,
Yeah.
a ridiculous
it's
number
one
of
the
people.
biggest in the country.
And what other? And I'm not knocking any other sport, but football. Look how many people show up at clinics like that.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
why? You get hooked on it, and you're a football guy. You're always looking for an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You finish your season, and you do your evaluations, and hey, we did this pretty well.
Right.
Okay, we didn't do this very well.
Right.
You share
And-
everything.
And now you go.
Yeah.
You go.
Yeah.
And you're constantly learning. We would we would scrimmage. We were the first scrimmage every year.
Over like
I mean,
15
how many
years?
Yeah.
Like 15 years.
First scrimmage.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
only on second or third day of hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, which high school were
Solon.
I was
you?
at
You
Solon.
Solon.
I was at
So it
Solon.
was an Ignatius
Yeah.
Solon
Right.
scrimmage.
And
Yes.
we would have a scrimmage. And the first
Yeah.
scrimmage is always like, "Hey,
Figure-
Jim, how you doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, what'd you run on that? How'd you do that?
Yeah.
It was kind of this. And
Oh,
the guys
it
would
would be
play.
writing things down.
Yeah,
And,
it was just this. Hey, we're kind of
teach us how you
practicing
do
together
this.
more than
Yeah.
anything, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was good. Oh man,
Right.
just.
you share
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
That's what you
I mean,
do.
it's so early in the season, and
Yeah.
we maybe end up playing, but that's
There
going
were
to be
some years we
12
did. Yeah,
weeks later, we're
later.
going to play
Yeah.
against each.
So there was never any animosity.
No,
Like there was
no,
like you guys were in
no.
a club
No, we
where
would-
you
no.
had
I mean,
to.
It is
when-
a true fraternity.
Yeah.
I mean, where you
Oh
get.
yeah, especially with
yeah.
come on
Yeah.
the first scrimmage. We're
Yeah.
we're still
And-
learning the kids' names and getting
Yeah.
who's really gonna
Right.
and we have to find out and
And I think
And-
it was always better if you scrimmaged your friends because you could then trade. I
Mm-hmm. Right.
mean, we'd be on the phone before the scrimmage. We're running this, we're
Right.
doing
Yeah,
this, we're
this is what
doing
we're gonna
that.
try to work on
Because
today and
Yeah.
you know,
things
we're
like
not
that.
trying to scheme you.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
practice for
Yeah.
both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that up because
Yeah.
that people sometimes
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Wait
no.
a minute, we got a bunch
Yeah.
of kids,
Right.
and we're trying to get them to know things, and they're going to make mistakes early,
Yes.
Yeah.
obviously, and now that exposed something
no
that we
doubt.
didn't know. What
Right.
they just did, that exposed something we didn't realize, you
Yeah.
know. And you got to
We'd
okay.
stop it and walk
right.
the play again.
We walk through it
to
Yeah.
and just
show
go,
it. Yeah.
okay.
For
That's
sure.
I mean that's really phenomenal that's putting the student athlete first. Of like, these kids are there to learn. They're there to learn the game. A scrimmage, like, it's not really going on the record, correct? Like, this is this is teaching them the right way to do things and giving them an opportunity. That's
without a doubt.
Without being like, well, we beat so and so in this
right.
show.
And in the theme of what we do here at this show, I think the way we would work, there's a bunch of kids watching us going,
exactly.
Yeah.
Look how these people work together here.
Yeah.
You know, we all have we have goals that we're going to do with our team.
Yeah.
But look at how they're handling this. You know,
'Cause
I always thought that was perfect for scrimmage.
I agree.
My
We did
goodness.
it for
you know?
many, many years.
Yeah.
We have to take a quick break. When we come back, I do want to talk about those big rivalry years because when you were at St. Ed's, you're at Ignatius. I mean, that was some of the best football that this town has ever seen.
Okay, well, you were in high school at that
I was
point.
in high school,
okay.
but
well, you know,
the people still talk about it.
Okay.
Or let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching The Object of the Game. And I am totally biased about these years of football because this is what I grew up watching. But anybody out there that knows high school football history knows that the 1990s was some phenomenal high school football. And the sports reporters that I always worked with talked about that era as we did not have the Browns. They had left. They went to Baltimore. The good football you could go to watch was especially St. Ignatius versus St. Ed's. And you were coaching, Jim, you were coaching St. Ed's at the time.
Yes.
You're coaching St. Ignatius. When you introduced me to Jim outside just, half an hour ago, I said, that triple overtime games. I still remember how quiet
She's going to mention
Lakewood
it. I knew
Stadium
it.
was. I knew it, well, because it was a core memory for me. But talk about those years because that really was... the way I know that the sports reporters in town have talked about it is that a bar was raised, and it was those two football teams that were constantly trying to, beat each other out, and they were well matched, and that was you two.
Yeah, I was never a big rivalry guy. To be honest, because we'd always play like game 9 or at the
it
end
was
of
like
the
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
And I was in my mind going, look, the only thing I can get ready to play the Eagles there is, how about if I first game try to win that one, learn from the mistakes, and try to get better at game 2. I didn't, don't worry about those others. We got this one game at the end of the year.
You had to be good. You had to win those other games, or our game wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
If we both come in at like 4-3.
Yeah.
So I think it was really like though brothers playing against brothers.
A lot of teammates, grade school teammates.
Yes, that's what it was.
That goes on.
Because every Saturday afternoon or Sunday, we were at grade school games watching St. Brendan's play, St. Bernadette's or whatever, and you're at one end and I'm at the other, and we're like, hey,
Jim,
Chuck, what's
man?
up? So,
you playing where? Oh, my God, we
yeah.
got so-and-so in Toledo, you got one in Cincinnati, all right,
And half of those players that were playing, half would end up at St. Ed's and half would end up at St. Ignatius, and then they'd play in that game. The games itself were intense. They were great memories. And at that, we talked about the scrimmages, and we got like, well, during the actual game, we weren't exchanging, hey, what's up and stuff.
We weren't running a sweep this time.
No, we weren't trading
Not doing that
at all. No, we both were very competitive and wanted to win.
Yeah.
But there was never any garbage or any beefs or anything like that. I mean, it was in anywhere in the stands or in the schools. It was tremendous competition, and we're all fortunate to be a part of it.
Yeah, and Mo, you bring up a good point. I mean, the crowds.
Oh,
there was really for high school football. I mean, maybe Texas has those big stadiums. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were several of those games where the tickets were sold out within the first 20 minutes of Monday.
Yes.
And there was more than what the tickets were. People were finding ways of getting in, and they were all over the place. And that was an atmosphere. It was amazing.
I do remember that the game you said, it was after like the second I think it was the second over. You know, you remember certain things.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember after the overtime's over, they give you like a 2-minute break or something. And I just remember our team was all around them, and I just looked at them and said, "This is so cool."
Yeah.
Doing, like, enjoy this.
Yeah.
It's cool. So, and guys still talk about
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
So
what year?
Yeah.
That was that 93?
That was
93.
The fall of
Yeah.
93,
Yes.
whatever
Yeah.
week that would have been. I just remember, like I said, Lakewood Stadium, 3 rows deep,
was
at
crowded,
least, standing
yes.
room only.
Right.
And it really was, you could not take your eyes off the field
Yeah.
because it would be somehow St. Ed pulls off some phenomenal play. Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Then Ignatius,
Yeah, then we can-
some phenomenal play. I mean, every single, those kids that are now grown
I think
men.
at halftime,
were-
people that usually guard the gate, I think they
just let
forget
them,
it. And they
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
So
getting to the
people
locker
were hearing
room
about
was
it or something.
forever.
And they were coming over from the local bar
Yeah,
down the
yeah,
street. And
no,
it was right
it
down
was-
the corner. I mean, it was getting bigger.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
without
it was
a
definitely
doubt.
getting
Yes.
bigger. You kept, oh my God.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that
Yeah.
high school football, that was bizarre.
It was fun.
That was, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
it was.
And you guys did win, so I will
Yeah.
be generous.
But it
and
was
you guys
by
did
a
win.
hair. I mean,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like,
Yes.
There was a point when you get to, somebody's gonna
Right.
make a play here.
Right.
yeah,
You know,
it went
I
so
don't know
back
what-
and forth.
Yes.
Whatever it is, you get to that point where, and we've talked, the ball bounces strange ways, and
Oh,
it does,
please.
and you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Please.
somebody's gonna make a play.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
It
Hope we
was.
do.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Right.
But that one was, those were all phenomenal players, both teams.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many were all state, national, all those, all those
A lot
things
of good
were.
players.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great football. We'll take a break now, and we're going to talk about Jim's job. I mean, just in case you don't know what an athletic director does and the current state
right.
of how to pull off all these athletics. We just kind of want to pick his brain, get an inside look, because like I said, maybe your kid is playing, maybe you've played, maybe you have kids who will be playing. You just want to know what's happening behind those scenes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are talking with Jim McQuaide, who is athletic director at Solon High School. And as we were just talking about before the break, big job. Whether you know it or not, what an athletic director does, there are so many details. The reason why you wanted to bring Jim on, Dad, is because you
Yes.
talked about how people
Yes.
don't realize
I'm
what
sorry,
goes into all these
audience,
sports.
I'm going to tell you, an athletic director is not the owner of a pro team that can just do whatever you want, and has all this money to wheel and deal with. I'm sorry.
So-
Get that out of your brain, because you hear stories. Well, why can't they do this? The athletic director, use the metaphor, has multiple hats. Hats. We have him here today. This may be the only half day he has the whole year. I don't know.
Spending it with us.
I'm honored
Your mom
be
used to
doing
complain because I did coach football and
Yeah.
track. He's an athletic director.
Yeah.
Right.
When's the off season for that?
Yeah.
You know?
that. No, there really isn't.
There
an
isn't.
off-season,
There
so.
isn't.
No, it's. I mean, first of all, if you, I love sports, so that's a huge part
Right.
of it.
You have to.
In that, and then we have 26 sports at Solon.
Right.
And then you multiply that by a varsity team, a JV team, a freshman team, and then we are supporting all of them. So our football team is very important to our city and everything, but so is our girls basketball team,
Right.
and our volleyball team and our softball team, and I say that with 100% conviction that we treat them all the same. So we have percentages that we spend for equipment or game prep and things like that, and those percentages are the same for all of our sports.
Because, as we try to do on this show, it's an educational experience.
Yes.
We are in an environment, Solon High School, excellent high school. Your SAT scores are off the charts and everything. A great school. But there's an education on the fields. We say that often, and it's not just the football field, right? And he's the athletic director, and what he certainly wants to provide for those kids. And I'm saying what he's doing, but he is the idea that, look, they're learning a lot from those softball games,
Right.
from the swim meets, from just
Right.
down.
Yeah.
Those kids
Right.
learning how to handle competition and working together and all that. It's not just a football field.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
And
Success.
now you got all
failure.
these legalities and contracts and paperwork and coaching certification and eligibility things. People don't know that the athletic director has to make sure all this stuff, budget issues and everything.
Yeah.
My God, by the time you get to the game, you're like,
the games are the fun. The games are the least thing that we do.
Yes.
Is manage the game.
I think a lot of people think, well, that's all they have to do.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
goodness, no.
you are nervous all the time that the officials won't show up or the bus
right.
won't show up on time or you get to an away game and your team isn't there yet. Well, the bus is on 480 because there was an accident and things like that. But we have, I think this past year, our school's about 1450, 9 through 12. I think we had 785 of those students were athletes.
Wow.
So my number one job, I think, is to protect those students so they have a good educational / athletic experience.
Right.
And that means the things that you said
Yeah.
about coaches and everything like that.
I keep hearing, and I know Solon is a very healthy community, but I keep hearing about, state budget cuts, educational budget cuts. Is that seeping into athletics? Are you seeing, more problems just in general with getting equipment or supplies?
It's a lot of schools have pay to play now. We have not had pay to play yet. We have we're very fortunate that we have a very good athletic booster club. We do not, our sports do not fundraise individually. We have an athletic booster club that helps all of our sports. So they help, anything we get goes into the boosters and then they help all of our sports.
Right.
We will work very hard to prevent pay to play so
Right.
that we don't have to do that.
Just listening to that job alone, the idea of this athletic club
the boosters.
that are earning that kind of money to help those kids.
We're very fortunate, very fortunate.
And your athletic director has to be organized to
So-
handle that. I mean,
yeah,
get the right
they
people
do.
to help out and things like that.
Yeah, so.
There's so many pokers in the fire,
Yeah.
to use the metaphor. that an
you
athletic
just
director
kinda
has to have
do it.
right there.
I'm going to ask a very general question, and I don't have any expectations with your answer, but what do you think, as an athletic director, what is your biggest challenge in this day and age? Like, what is the biggest challenge you're facing outside of the paperwork, the details?
For sure. Yeah.
What do you think it is?
For me, and I think maybe it's because I'm a former coach, I believe it's specialization. I think there are so many families that they put all of their eggs in one basket, and they have, I'm going to be a football star. If a guy's playing football for me and he says, I'm just going to concentrate on football and not play basketball this year because I just want to lift and work out, I'm saying you're crazy. You need to compete, and you need to be on the basketball team because that teaches you other things that will help football, help basketball. And there's nothing wrong with personal trainers and everything else, but that's secondary to what your team is doing and that team aspect.
Did you prompt him on that one?
I knew you were going to do that. She's looking at me
No,
going,
we
did you
didn't.
prompt him before he got it?
Yeah,
Because that's,
no.
Jim, amen. Amen.
It is. And
it's just
the numbers are going to, and it's happening a lot in girls' sports. Our girls' numbers are going down, and it's because of this specialization that's not. It's not
Do
the
you
way
see
to do
that?
it.
And I know we're going to have to take a break soon, but while we're on this topic, I kind of want to get. Do you see that that's because of how early kids are starting with like club sports, and then, or is it because parents are just thinking, well, we're just going to.
Well, the biggest
on one, or
thing
the kids are focusing?
is the next level. Like, we're going to get a scholarship. We're going to go to college and do this. And if, like, I had a conversation with a parent the other day. They want their son to get a football scholarship. I said, the best thing you can do to help your football scholarship is to have a time from a track meet, a computer time from our regional track meet.
Yep.
They're going to rely on that more than anything else. And your trainer can tell them whatever they want, but you're paying them money. And this is a competition of the state track meet. That's what people want to say. And I'm not dogging personal trainers.
No,
but that's extra things that you do.
put a stopwatch in somebody's hand. If they really want that clock to say 4:05 in the 40, they can make it say 4:05 in the 40.
Yeah.
Just, 4:05 in the 40. Boy, we've really got you going. Yeah, except you go to a track meet.
Yes.
There's no that's
Yeah.
not there's no that's a legit
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
There's no
doubt
kid.
about
That's
it.
down to the hundreds.
Yeah.
And and I mean,
Being on the foul line. I want my quarterback. He's on the foul line
That's
with
right.
the game on the line, shooting a 1-on-1 foul shot.
Right.
I can't simulate that in the weight room.
Mm-hmm.
That's competition that helps you in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Going to a job interview, things that you're doing, taking your thesis, presenting your thesis, your master's thesis. That's all part of it.
Yeah.
That's again the idea of what we're doing with this show is just that educational part of it. You know?
Yes.
That stays with you.
Right.
And sports, different sports present
Oh,
just different
yeah,
challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Way different
Yeah.
challenges.
And the other part that we have to get kids to be able, they have to learn how to deal with failure.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to fail. We will. The three of us
Yeah.
will continue
Oh, yeah.
to fail. You have to learn to deal with that. We always said you don't accept losing, but you deal with losing because you have to. And sometimes we want to shelter them too much. That's not real life.
Yeah. No.
So winning is fun, and we all like that. And you got to learn how to win, too, the right way. But dealing with failure is something we could work on better.
You always like to see a kid say, "Oh, football's my favorite, but I'm going to try this out. Come on out for
Right.
track. I mean, I was a track.
There's
Come on
no
out
doubt
for track.
about it.
They'd be going,
Yeah.
I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Come on out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just get into it. And
Yeah.
you know what? He's probably not going to win the 100-meter dash
No.
the first time he's out there.
Mm-hmm.
How's he
Right.
going to handle that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? And hey, your time's getting
Fight
better.
through it.
You're getting better. I think a maturity part of it is, am I getting better? Is my time in something
Yeah.
better than the last time? Well, you're running against other people. They're pushing you along. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you getting better?
Right.
And when you have that,
Yes.
that's where the focus should be.
Yeah. We'll be right back. We're going to have the vocab word and Shakespeare quote and wrap up when we come back. Welcome back. We are getting a 2-for-1 today. 2 quotes. 2 quotes for the price of 1. But you said you have a quote that you think is perfect to kick off this last part of the
if
show.
I may, because we've known each other a long time. And again, here's a guy who, rightfully so, the Ohio Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Obviously, other people have recognized this, that this man, he coached good football, but he was a great coach. And here's a quote from Dwight David Eisenhower, 34th President of the United States. Patrick, you remember history, right? Also, obviously, the head general of the Army, D-Day, and the whole bit. And he was asked to comment about leadership. And I read this quote, and I'm going, Jim McQuaide, how about this, right? He said this: a platoon leader doesn't get his platoon to go by getting up and shouting, I'm smarter, I am bigger, I am stronger, I am the leader. He gets men to go along with him because they want to do it for him and they believe in him. And those people you coached, they believed in you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I
Don't be embarrassed, buddy.
Yeah, I am.
You know?
I am embarrassed.
Don't be. I think,
Thank you. I would say the same about you.
Well,
So it's the same. Yes.
when kids really have a really wonderful experience, not just that year, but when they come back 10 years later, and they do, they come back and go, Coach, man, that was so.
Right.
Remember when you said that to me? And you go, I don't
Right.
remember when I said
don't
that.
remember,
But anyway,
yeah.
but that
Right.
made a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I think when guys come back and coach for you, that
That's a
kind of hits home. Yeah, we have a lot of those guys. No, I appreciate that very much. So
Sure.
thank you.
The vocabulary.
Vocabulary
Again,
words.
English
You
teachers
sent me
get into
sent me a
vocabulary.
list.
Business,
Yeah.
come on.
Yes.
Business.
No, I get
You
it.
know, the terminology, right?
Yes,
You gotta
yeah.
go at it. And we it's interesting.
Yeah.
We've been doing this, and it's been kind of interesting when people pick out and what
Yeah.
they see.
I picked 2.
He
Okay.
picked 2,
That
which is
the-
great.
The first one was focus,
Oh.
because we always had a thing. In fact, we have a big sign in my office, and it says passion for the task at hand. And we always talked about focus with that. The most important thing in my life right now is being with the 3 of you, because that's what we're doing right now. So And I think we've gotten away from that with our cell phones and everything else, that we let all these other things distract us in that. So we always concentrate on that focus. What are we doing right now? Tell me what I just said. Tell me what I just asked you to do. Focus. And then the other one was commitment. If you're an Ignatius fan, you're an Ignatius fan all the time.
Yeah.
You're not just when they're winning or not. And I would say it at our parent meetings. Your sons, they really need you when we're struggling. You know, when it gets silent because we're stinking up the joint and nobody's cheering or anything, that's when we need you.
Yeah.
We don't need you when we're scoring and we need you then.
Yeah.
I'm always a St. Ignatius fan or a St. Ed's fan or a Solon fan all the time, not just when it's good. I'm always a Browns fan.
Yeah.
I'm a Guardians fan, even though last night I didn't like what I saw yesterday, but I'm a Guardians fan. So
How many errors can you commit?
So those were my words that stuck out to me.
Beautiful. That's when you say commitment. Both of them, commitment.
So,
People, it's not just a good time. It's all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're going to do this right.
Right.
Yes.
If you're going to be a parent, it's all the time.
Oh my gosh.
You're a parent 24 hours a day. The
Yes.
rest of your life.
For sure.
Yeah.
You do it right.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
good. Beautiful.
And I even thought about how, I don't know, there's been a couple of, what do we call them? I think my daughter's in the fishtail softball league where they've had some, some moments where we're a little too quiet on the sidelines. Maybe as parents have to, root them on. So it's always a good reminder. So now we have another quote. So this is kind of traditionally how we wrap up with the Shakespeare quotes.
Right.
Yeah, well, I have to say, because the guest, I taught
Sure, yeah.
Shakespeare and Chaucer.
Sure.
stuff. And anyway, this is actually from the play Cymbeline, which is a romance. Now, when we say romance, literary romance is knights, shining armor.
Sure,
things like
yeah,
that. It's-
right.
Okay.
Yeah, not
And,
Fabio.
and the young
on the front cover. Right.
The
Little
young
more
lady,
eloquent.
Again, there's a young lady here that really comes through, even though
Okay.
her reputation was being attacked. Whatever. Okay. Well, let's go to this. This is actually one of Shakespeare's later plays, and Cymbeline, and it's the following statement. He's an athletic director, and I'm looking for an athletic director. What quote?
Yes.
And so here's what we go. "'Tis not sleepy business, but must be looked to speedily and strongly." You can't float through a day being an athletic director. There's constantly,
People want an answer.
they want an
right now.
answer,
That's a good
and they
point.
need to do this.
Right.
So there's, tis not a sleepy
Right.
business at all, but be looked to speedy and strongly handling things, right? They
Yes.
want the answer now.
Yes.
They want the
Yes,
answer
they do.
a minute
Yes,
ago.
they do.
Right?
Yes.
They want it, and they want it an effective answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good luck, athletic director.
I know.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot with
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
things, so
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So I'm thinking after I hit that, I go, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
It is.
oh yeah,
You're right.
there you
You're right.
go. And how many games you got to go to,
Yes.
and then you got to get up in the morning, and then
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It's fun though.
Oh
I
yeah,
like it.
you got to
I like
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
I
got to
do.
enjoy it.
I do for sure. I'm lucky to have the position I'm in.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm lucky to be here. So
Yeah.
thank you
I know,
very
we've
much.
We've had so much
Thank
fun.
you.
Before we wrap up, I do always like to ask too, especially of someone in your position, what advice would you give to any parent who's watching, or if it's a student too, like from your perspective, and from the place where you sit as athletic
Yes,
director and in charge,
yes.
like what is the one piece of advice you would give?
Hands down, easily, enjoy where you're at. So many people are always moving to the next level. Enjoy. It goes back to the task at hand, or not just the task, but enjoy the game you're at today. Enjoy your son being a junior and being, earning a starting job, and because it goes so fast. And by far, the number one thing people always said at a banquet at the end of the season, the senior parents, I can't believe how fast it's over. I can't believe how fast it was.
Yeah.
That's a constant.
Enjoy it.
in every-
Enjoy where
Yeah.
you're at,
Right.
and it'll work out.
Yeah,
But enjoy what you have.
Right.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
No, that's
Jim McQuaide,
so
thank you
true.
so much for being a
Thank-
guest
yeah.
today. It's
Thanks
been
for
fun
having
catching
me.
up
I
and
appreciate it.
fun to
Thanks
see you
for-
guys,
Yeah, so
interact and
Oh yeah, we can
continue
diagram
on with
some
the
plays.
Yeah,
if you
right,
want.
I know. You know what?
Sure.
Maybe that could be a best-selling book. you guys can
yeah.
diagram
So,
some plays.
thank you
I
very
know a
much.
couple high schools that
Yeah.
would buy it.
Yeah.
So yes. And thanks to all of you for watching The Object of the Game. Again, you can catch all of our episodes on all of the big play networks. Of course, there's the YouTube channel. We are live on X on Monday nights, and then also Rock Entertainment Group. We are live Mondays at 4. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Object of